Hello. So today I am back with another video, and today's topic is web development, or more specifically, what the hell is going on with web development. So I'm actually at a hackathon right now. I just kind of came out for a bit to kind of be in this room to kind of record this video. But I think being at this hackathon has kind of revealed a lot of things. Number one, just the amount of kind of really cool builders that are out there in the world. I'm in Toronto right now, right? So SF is not the place. SF is not the only place to be if you're a builder. I think Toronto is a very good place if you want to kind of start building anything. But also, pretty much how this entire hackathon is kind of shaping up to be is that everybody kind of opens their kind of AI tool of choice, Cursor, Claude, things like that. And then they basically just almost vibe code their way to a solution, right? And so it's not complete vibe coding. These are engineers after all, right? So they do kind of touch the code in like very, very specific ways that where they care about, right? So for example, if somebody's like a very big kind of UX or like product design person, right, then the most like the front end and the CSS code that they'll kind of take care of, um, or back end infra and stuff like that. But I think overall, I think the number one trend here is that number one, AI is doing most of the coding. So a lot of the kind of old old talk about tech stacks, it's like, oh, should you use React and React or Vue or Svelte, or like which one has the best library support, or Next.js, Solid.js, things like that. What kind of uh, front and back end tech stacks you have? There was the Mern stack, there was Verb, I think one of them was called. Um, but now the game's kind of completely changed, and so even for myself, right? Right now I'm technically using a stack that I've never even touched before, just because I know that AI will basically just do the whole thing for me, and I don't really care anymore what exact framework, what exact technology I use, just because I know that AI will just kind of take care of it for me. Um, coming back to the original question of what the hell is going on, um, I think the the era of having hackathons like this, even I think is probably kind of coming to an end slowly, um, right? Because the very idea of a hackathon is that you build a very specific product in a very kind of short amount of time, um, and you are basically competing to see who can build the best product in the shortest amount of time under a kind of very specific set of constraints. Um, but in the future, will these like very specific software apps even exist? Um, will will the user basically be able to conjure up these app ideas just by themselves instead of having all these builders kind of support all of this, right? So maybe maybe the only thing that builders or like engineers will even do is to kind of set up the backend infrastructure for all this, right? So like database stuff, basically all the stuff that like the end user doesn't really care about. But the right, so there'll be kind of like a layer of uh, I guess essentially maintenance engineers that will provide the kind of the infrastructure upon which everything else is built, right? So think of like Lovable or Cursor, right? So like um, kind of like that, where they provide all the basic infrastructure for the user to build things, but then the, the actual act of building will almost be entirely done by AI, and will basically be entirely dictated by user prompts. Um, it does look like that's the way that things are going right now. Um, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. Again, there are a lot of people like me who just really, really enjoy building things, right? They really enjoy building things. They really enjoy just the process of like rolling this boulder up a hill. And yet now you can't really uh, justify spending a lot of time manually coding anything anymore, just because you know that somebody else is going to do it with AI. And so that in and of it, like that kind of concept in and of itself just gives you such a sense of loss about doing it yourself, right? And I felt this way about a lot of things, right? So I remember around this time last year, I took a leap from Stan to draw a comic essentially, right? Or a comic initially, and I I did do that. I spent around a month, 2 months just getting like this chapter one of a comic very kind of exactly neat and right, and I wanted to kind of go on, and someday I will go on. But then AI images came out, right? ChatGPT images, Midjourney recently came out with videos, even things like that, and I just kind of felt this incredible sense of loss, I guess, about putting all this time and effort into mainly drawing anything when I know that probably by this time, in a few months, some AI tool will exist that'll draw this entire thing for me in like 2 seconds, right? And so I think a big part of, I guess, why I wanted to make this video and why I wanted to kind of pose this question even is just because, yeah, to to share in the sense of loss together, and kind of question, okay, how do I even gain enjoyment from what I do? Like, how do I gain enjoyment from work now that all kind of effort has been stripped away from it, right? Because a lot of the enjoyment that you get from work is by seeing a bunch of effort and kind of getting through it one by one, right? Kind of like, again, rolling that boulder up a hill. But now, the robot rolls the boulder up a hill for you, and you just kind of watch and you just kind of like instruct the robot. And so again, maybe this is how farmers felt like back during the Industrial Revolution, right? Again, I don't think anybody would lament the loss of kind of the days of like manually tilling fields with their hands. But I think it is a big loss, and I'm trying to enjoy my time at what might be like the last uh, generation of hackathons. Um, I don't want to end this video on a depressing note, and so I'll keep talking, but I personally feel very fortunate to have grown up in a time, or to grow up in the last generation really, just before the advent of all these kind of like vibe coding tools. I think in the future, again, like manually learning like how to code. So for example, like I started on Dreamweaver, right? Like Dreamweaver, if you don't know, is an Adobe application that basically allows you to make websites, and that's where I started. So Dreamweaver, um, and then eventually moved on to VS Code and Cursor and things like that. And I'm just gonna, I think I'm very grateful to have learned all those skills, like before I knew that uh, all these vibe coding tools existed. I mean, as much as all these vibe coding tools are, yes, like very helpful, um, I think if I were to try to to code from scratch now, I would still just feel that incredible sense of loss that I mentioned earlier about, oh, I'm learning all this when somebody else could do it in 2 seconds, you know? Um, and I think a lot of the same thoughts will go into, say, art, drawing or painting or kind of any kind of visual art, filmmaking, definitely. And so, what will the future hold? I'm not really sure, and I'm sure humanity, as always, will find new borders and new hills on which those borders could be rolled up. But for now, I just kind of wanted to make this video to kind of pose this question to you guys, and I'll be getting back to the hackathon so that I can kind of watch the latest generation of builders kind of do their thing, and just kind of enjoy the passing of the scene. So a bit of a different kind of video today, but I hope you guys enjoyed, and thanks for watching.